It's springtime, Poke Nation. Number 12 team in softball in the country is in town. Baseball has started. Got Creighton down here. Interesting series for that. Creighton's a really good baseball team. People don't really understand that.
Really good.
And your press box is built in baseball. Very nice.
And aren't you excited for that?
I am utterly. There was no fear that a giant wind would come and blow the tarp off, and I had to reach up and grab it like last year. I didn't feel like a cinder block was going to fall on me. Yes, it was very nice. Very nice.
Well, we wanted to make it really, really nice and special for you.
That's all that matters. That's really all that matters.
No doubt.
Once that's done, that's not working.
That's right. I get it. I get it. Priorities.
But no, the overhang looks
sure.
nice.
It's
Fans were talking
yeah.
about it. It looks back like it used to. It looks better than it was.
Yep.
And that's the one thing I will give you guys credit. When you're building back, you are building back better.
100%. That's been a huge priority of ours. Is that, the hurricane they were brutal.
Devastating.
But if you can get through it, you have an opportunity to redo some things better. It just takes a lot of time. And that's what the baseball press box and the cover and stuff. That's a prime example of building it back better than it was.
Yeah, and it looks nicer. It looks cleaner, obviously, but also it looks better. It functions better.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and that was the thing too. Before the storm, it needed some work. It just didn't function well enough, and the changes we were able to make. Again, I go back to. Kevin Martin and all the construction people, they did a great job, and we're very fortunate that it's a lot better than it was.
One suggestion, maybe a nacho maker in there, maybe something like that. Just say,
I'm not even going to go there.
Hot dog machine,
right.
something that would be nice. Yeah. Maybe a little cable TV. But other than that, very nice. I want to get to this for you today. Washington is here as we tape.
Yep.
Number 12 team in the country coming into this week. They won a couple more games. They may even be higher. Softball beat North Texas, which was 22nd in the country, on Sunday. They played Kentucky pretty well, 4-0 loss. On Friday, they were 15th, I think, when they played them. And actually, North Texas beat them the next day, so you're right there in the group. Right. But Coach James Landreau has talked about being a two-bid team. Now, it's not going to be a two-bid league.
For sure.
But he can get his team to be a two-bid. If he wins against Washington today and plays well against Ole Miss on the weekend, he projects himself as a possible two-bid team, doesn't he?
I think so.
You got to play out the year.
Yeah, for sure. We're on a great trajectory for sure. There's a lot of softball to be played, but I love where we're at, and the North Texas game was a huge win for us.
Yeah.
And then obviously you have University of Washington at home. It's a great opportunity, and obviously we're filming while they're playing right now, but. When I leave here, I'm going to go over, and it's a great opportunity to host a Pac-12 school and a top 25 program. At home, it's phenomenal, and what Coach Landreau and his staff has built. Obviously it started before him, but when he's taken over and the trajectory that we're on and the steps that he's made in the program, it's phenomenal.
Well, the last 4 softball coaches has made it a point to leave the program better than it was.
100%.
So I like that they're building on each one. I can't guarantee this yet, but I'm trying to figure out. I think this is the first time a non-Louisiana team that's won a national championship has ever been in town.
Probably. Yeah,
so
it's probably.
I'll look into that, but I'm a stat freak.
I was going to say, hey, look, if you want to spend your time researching that, my friend, help yourself. You're unbelievable. I love it.
Explains an awful lot.
I love it.
Explains an awful lot. But the two-bid, obviously, basketball-wise, when we talk about Southland, it's not a two-bid league.
No, not even close right now.
But getting the games here for the tournaments was a hope of yours to make it at least easier for McNeese to get that one bid.
For sure.
Coach, you don't get a bid if you don't get in the tournament. You can't get a bid if you don't get in your own tournament.
That's an accurate point. That is an accurate
now
point.
All of a sudden, both teams are fighting to get in.
Yeah. Honestly, look,
I don't want to be the dead horse.
No, for sure. I'd be lying if I wasn't saying that, or if I didn't say that I was disappointed in both programs, to be honest. And it's we need to be better, 100%. Just, and the other thing too is just, moving forward, just making the tournament, it's not acceptable, and that's not it's not my expectation for any sport, in our department. We need to start to understand that we should be an elite program in this league, and making the tournaments and things like that. I get it when we were funded at the bottom of the league. Like, for example, when I got here, okay, the recruiting budget was zero. Like, there was no recruiting budget. There was no Platinum Club, and this building was concrete.
Yeah.
And Stephen F. Austin was coming off Sweet 16. Abilene Christian went to the NCAA tournament. Sam Houston wins 20 games every year. Tick Price, say what you want, at Lamar, had it rolling.
Yeah, there you go.
Central Arkansas was good. So go from there. So if you make the tournament and you fit out of 13 teams, okay, I get it. It's a pretty good step. But now when all they're gone and we're funded at the top of the league, we need to be at the top of the league. It is a different job now than it was 5 years ago. And we need to act accordingly.
And you are at the top of the league attendance-wise. And who are we bringing on after this? Give me his title.
My man Logan Loftin, the new assistant AD for ticketing and donor relations. Love him.
Gotta love putting that on a resume. We'll have Logan on after this on Poke Nation.
Welcome back to Poke Nation. We got our man Logan Loftin back. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a while.
And this time as a new title. Assistant Athletic Director for Ticketing and Donor Relations.
Yes, sir.
Much deserved.
Thank you.
And thank you for all, first of all, thank you, honestly, Logan, for all you've done. I've told 100 people that what you've done in the ticket office to completely revamp it and change the mentality, change the culture, has been honestly nothing short of remarkable, because I know what it was before you got there.
Thank you.
So kudos to you, and the promotion is well deserved. So,
Well, wait a minute. Before we get into that,
yep.
Is there anybody on campus you haven't given a promotion to?
Oh, for sure. I mean, look, listen. The athletic department is now run like a business, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if guys that like Logan that come in and they do a great job and they produce, they obviously get extended and promoted, and guys and people who don't. So.
Well, that's good to see.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly though, Logan has been a breath of fresh air, and he has, like, literally, I thought one of the biggest issues we had when I took over as the AD was the ticket office. And Logan and I talk all the time, Jim, but like the ticket office, everyone says the athletic department's the front porch of the institution. Well, the ticket office is a driveway, right? So there's so many people that the only interaction they have with McNeese State University is the ticket office. And so if that isn't ran right, and if that doesn't have a great culture, I think it impacts the entire university. So this is a really, really big job. So moving forward, okay? Now we want to talk about selling tickets for the conference tournament. So
Yes, sir.
obviously they're on sale now, and you and your staff and our staff is responsible for selling tickets.
Yes, sir.
So talk a little bit about, tell Poke Nation how they can get tickets for the basketball tournament and all that entails.
Yes, sir. We have a couple ways that you can get tickets. You can go on our website, mcneesports.com. We have tickets for reserve sections, general admission, courtside seating, all the different options you want for the tournament. You can buy them with the click of a button to get them on your phone. You also can buy them, through our ticket office if you come in person to the field house, and we can help you out in person, print the physical tickets if that's something you're more into, and all those tickets work for the entire tournament. We have session tickets. The men's and women's tournament is both being hosted here, as you mentioned, so you can buy them for all the sessions, for whatever specific session your team ends up playing in. We sell all different options, so we got you covered.
Awesome.
Now, the thing with this is the sessions, because that confuses people. It's you buy a ticket for a session, you get 2 games.
Correct. Yes, sir. It's
And then you
basically a
empty the
doubleheader.
gym- You empty the gym and then you bring them back.
Yep. So each day, for example, the morning session is the women's session,
Yeah.
right? There's 2 women's games, 11 and 1:30, I think, are the times, and the afternoon sessions are the men's, 5 and 7:30.
Yeah.
So if you buy a ticket for one session, you come to that first game, and you don't have to leave between games. You only have to leave between sessions. If you do want to come to that later men's session, you will have to purchase a separate ticket, which you can easily do right at the front gate.
So that gives you an opportunity for you guys to sell women's and men's separately.
Correct. We have some people who are definitely more fans of the women's, and some that are more fans of the men's, kind of just depending on their history with the McNeese program. If they have kids playing or whatever the case is, you can kind of pick and choose which games you want to attend.
And one of the big questions I get is parking is still free.
Yes, at the moment parking is free. We are looking at all different options and things.
The conference is leaning towards charging for parking.
Okay.
Just because you can't go and they do make an argument that you can't go to any conference tournament in America and not pay something for parking. That will help offset a lot of the costs that the league has. So if they do charge for parking, obviously it's not going to be astronomical, but it could be something.
You guys don't charge for parking.
For the Platinum Club during basketball, we do. Obviously, that's part of the
for the
Platinum experience.
general.
Correct.
Why? I always ask that. Why? Why do you guys do that?
Well, I'll tell you what, Jim. When we put 4,000 people in here consistently, then that's a conversation we need to have.
Not that I'm not asking you to charge people more money. I'm just saying.
See, Darth Vader. He comes out again. Poke Nation, I'm keeping parking free, and Darth Vader wants to get another $5. Come on, my friend.
I'm just asking. I wanted to ask you about.
I should charge media for parking. Is what I should charge.
Whoa! Now we're into a whole different
The Jim Gazzolo rate.
Now we're doing a different subject. One thing about it is you guys had a benefit of last year of the baseball. You had the tournament here.
Yep.
How much did you learn from that as far as tickets and that, and how much will you gain from that for both? You'll have baseball, softball, and everything this year. How much do you think you got from that?
A ton for sure. The biggest thing that I noticed is a lot of the rules and regulations the conference has, sometimes not every school that hosts the event also has those rules. So being able to communicate those with the people that are coming, to be like, okay, we may normally not enforce a clear bag policy, for example, but the conference does. So just making sure all that information is pushed out to the people before the event, so when they come, they're not surprised or taken aback as like, why is this not like a McNeese event? Because that's the biggest separation is even though it's a McNeese hosted venue, it is not our event. We are just the host.
Yeah, the Southland takes over.
Correct. Yep, and that's kind of their rules and regulations and pricing, all that they set.
And that's the thing, and I think we learned a lot, like Logan said. But I think the biggest thing we learned, is people would come up and complain to Logan, and would even complain to me, but simply once the conference comes here, we're the host site, but we don't run the tournament.
No,
they set the pricing. Even locker rooms, like honestly. Our teams, if we're in the tournament, it's a whole other discussion. But if we're in,
it will be discussed.
But we're not utilizing our locker room. The number one seed will have however it's seeded will do the locker room.
That would upset me, by the way, if I was a player.
Well, but
be the number one seed.
Yeah,
be the number one seed. But I mean, that's just and for when we cut the deal to host these tournaments, that was one of the things that. That the commissioner and Chris at the time wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
And I completely understand. If I was one of the other schools and I was coming here for the next 4 years, I'd want to have, I'd want it to be as neutral as it could be. And part of those things is how we keep it as neutral as possible.
Yeah. When we come back on Poke Nation, more with Logan and ticketing and the tournaments coming up after this. Back with Logan. All right, we've talked about the tournament. Talked about what you learned from last year's tournament of baseball. What have you learned from the first year and a half back in the Legacy Center as far as people's interest in this building and what they like about it and what they don't like?
I think we probably have one of, if not the best basketball facilities in Louisiana, and I think it being reopened and a lot of new students coming here is something that we're still trying to merge together, right? We have a lot of students who never got to experience it the first few years here since the hurricane. So one of our big goals is to get a bunch of new students to come here, fraternities, sororities, student groups on campus, to come and experience a game here, whether it's a women's game or a men's game. So what our marketing team has been doing is doing a lot of student giveaways, t-shirts, free food, things like that, to kind of entice them to want to come. So student engagement is a huge thing that we've been trying to get.
Yeah, I saw at baseball this weekend you were giving away the T-shirts on the strikeouts.
Correct. Yes, that's a new one of our sponsor activations. Is anytime that we have a strikeout, we hand some T-shirts out in the crowd. So hopefully we run out of T-shirts.
The law firm gets named.
Oh yeah, they love it. They love it.
I think the injury law firm should be named after a hit by pitch, but that's just me.
You seriously?
That's a little too literal.
You are such a demented individual.
Golly. Getting the engagement of the fans, more than just getting the fans in the building. How important is that for the next step of the evolution?
I think it's huge, especially with us hosting the conference tournament for the next 4 years, not only for basketball, for all of our sports. We want fans to be able to come in here and see what this venue is like for, a home event, to see how it feels to be packed, how it feels to win, all those different emotions. So when the conference tournament does come, and we are hopefully in it for every sport, they can experience that on the biggest stage, against all the other teams in the conference, and hopefully in the championship.
I think too, the other thing that's that Logan's right, but the one thing that I think gets missed is this is a team effort.
Yeah.
We meet multiple times a week. Obviously, Logan's in the meeting. Michael McLaughlin, the director of marketing now. Connor, Colby. Those guys, all of them, they all work together. You have to have facilities, game management, marketing, ticketing, and we all work, in unison. And so it really is really neat. We kind of made a joke about, the promotions or what have you, but it took me a while to kind of find a rhythm and find a group of people that had a passion and that had the work ethic and the vision and drive to make a difference here. And once I found those, and there's more than those four. Throw PJ in there. I mean, all of them, like Leighton. I mean, there's so many that are just good, and everyone has a great role, and they all really work well together. And those meetings for me are the most rewarding I have all week.
No, the thing is, if people don't understand it, it used to be you just go, the event sold itself.
Yeah.
Now you have to sell the event.
Oh, 100%.
Yep, and I think that's the fun part, right? Always we all get to come up with new ideas and new different activations that we can do throughout community and try to get people to come here. So it makes it more fun for sure.
I mean, think about this. I mean, when I sit down, and this is what's funny because I see your notepad there, because So when I sit down with a meeting with all these guys, okay, I sit and I have my notepad.
Yeah.
They all sit down and they're either their notes are on the phone or they pop open, iPads. And at first I kind of laughed. I'm like, well, this is kind of interesting, But like we do, and it really is one of the best meetings I have each week is when that group gets together and we talk about, we're talking about football right now. How are we going to promote football? What can we do different? And we literally throw spaghetti on the wall and put ideas up, and it really, it's a great team effort. And Logan, I'm telling you, I say it all the time, but that experience walking to the ticket window it can make or break you.
Well, no, I've heard some negative ones in the past over the years before.
Oh.
You guys got here.
Yeah, tell me about
horror
it.
Stories. But
thus, when I talked about the people who do a great job get promoted, those who don't.
Two tough things Logan's had to deal with, and I want to get into this, is you had to not only resell a program that was on the decline, but facilities that weren't here yet. How tough was it to get that going?
Yeah.
And how much easier is it now that you can say, hey, look at the building?
That was a fun task, as this was my first job in athletics ever, right? So coming to a place where my first job is to sell a legacy center that I couldn't even walk into without a hard hat was a little difficult for sure. But I think being in here, like being able to walk people in here to see the seat they're going to sit in, to see the view of the seat they're going to sit in, that is huge to make people, want to become involved in the program. At softball, at baseball, all these different places, you can actually show them where they're going to be instead of just telling them.
Softball, I want to ask about softball because they're playing the number 12 team in the country today.
They are, yep.
As we're taping in an hour, they're going to be playing them Washington. The softball program, and to extent baseball getting Creighton down here, is bringing in programs that are named nationally. Mm-hmm. What do you see from fans that are seeing not just, Lafayette coming in, Tech coming in, but actually bigger name schools from across the country?
Yeah, people are loving it. We play Washington, like you said, today. We play Ole Miss, in the upcoming weekend in a tournament. So we got a lot of big names coming. I've had tons of people buying tickets in advance for these games to reserve their seats, because the entire bowl now is reserved seating, right? So you can get a specific seat for a great view of the field. So people are really excited. We're a program that's on the up and up, and to be able to get these big teams to our home is huge for sure.
What's it like baseball-wise now? You actually have a baseball stadium.
I know.
Again.
Baseball, the cover is awesome. People are loving the cover, and it makes the experience a lot better. No more weather impacting your viewing experience, so it's been awesome, especially this weekend with the cold.
That was a press box.
Oh, yeah. And we had a press box with Heath.
We're gonna call it the Gazzolo the Great press box.
Oh, yeah.
In baseball.
Logan, thanks for joining us.
Of course,
enjoy the Southland Conference tournament.
I will.
If McNeese is in or if McNeese is not, enjoy it either way.
Awesome.
We'll be back with Coach's final thoughts after this. We're back on Poke Nation. Logan's an interesting guy because I don't know what that title is. I don't know what that all assumes. It's like,
Well, here's the thing.
it's kind of like menu. I'll take the right side of the menu at a restaurant. But poor guy's probably doing 9 different jobs.
No. You're unbelievable. He's an assistant AD. He's over ticketing and donor relations. So, when people come up in the Platinum Club and all that stuff, he deals with them on a daily basis. And he does a phenomenal job. I love him. I mean, the other thing I love about him that no one knows, and I've even told him this, when we're in meetings, I love the fact that he's confident enough to challenge me. And then, we talk about it, we discuss it. But, my rule is like, hey, we're going to discuss, we're going to debate, but then I'm going to decide.
Yeah.
And then once I decide, we're all going to fall in line and we're going to do it.
Well, that's what, if you're not the boss, I think the best thing you do is you get your opinion out there, and then eventually he's got to make the decision.
For sure.
So I wouldn't have a problem with that.
But he's phenomenal. Love him.
Might have a problem with you making the decision, but I wouldn't have a problem with that being the structure of. Okay, lots of places to go here. I don't want to bemoan this fact, but Saturday was the worst officiated women's basketball game I've ever seen in my life. I know you can't talk about that, but as a conference, have you guys talked about the fact that as you move up and want to be what you want to be, you have to improve that part of the product as well?
I don't think there's any question. I think that I'm a huge proponent, and I'm probably in the minority with all the other ADs. There's a few of us, but I personally think that we should pay officials a lot more than we're paying.
Yeah.
I think that if we want, if we want to be an elite basketball conference, or we need to take a step moving forward in a basketball conference, you have to pay. It's human nature, right? If you have the same official that's doing a Southland game and also a Conference USA game, and they're getting 50% more money for the Conference USA game, they're going to, I hate to say this, but they're going to try a little bit harder. They're going to be a little bit more on their game because they don't want to lose that opportunity. It's just human nature.
And the better ones are going to filter towards it.
Yes,
This
for
isn't.
sure.
I try to tell people this isn't the South Dakota or North Dakota where there's one game to officiate and you get the best official around.
No.
If they don't if they could be in Houston, they could be in the South, and they could be in the SWAC, they could be Conference USA, they could be at the Sun Belt. There's enough games around to where they're going to pick and choose the best money they make and the best opportunity.
100%. And I just think that
You're in a competitive business just like that.
Exactly right, and those are the things that I voice when we get into AD meetings. I'm going to voice them again in the spring. I just personally think we all have to make an investment into getting better officials, and when you make that investment, you're able to hold them more accountable.
Yeah.
It's just human nature, and then you get where Saturdays are hard. Because
without question.
Because of what we pay. If you're an official and you can go to the SWAC and make $400 or $500 more than coming to the Southland, where are you going to go?
Yeah.
And so for us, we have to be able to, in my opinion, we have to pay the going rate. And I personally think, and the other argument is, well, why are we going to pay more to get the same officials? Personally, I think you'll get a little bit better, but I also think you'll get a better officiated game because it's human nature.
Yeah,
It's just human nature.
It really is, and it's like I said, I don't want to bemoan the point, but it was, and it didn't cost the game or anything, but it made it really tough to watch. And if you're asking people to pay money and you're investing in this building and all that, you ought to invest in that as well.
I agree.
It's just an opinion.
I don't
got
disagree.
my point across.
I don't disagree.
That's all I'm going to say. The rest of it is an interesting time for you because football's about to start.
I know it's. Busy,
I know we only got a
time.
minute,
Yeah.
but are you excited to be seeing what you're going to see out there?
I'm really excited. I mean, I talk to Gary a couple times a week, and I'm just
Leave the man alone. Let him do his job.
I'm so excited about where we're at. I think the class that he brought in, the culture that he's established, you just see it. I mean, I really believe we'll make a huge jump next year, and I couldn't be happier with where we're at.
I'd have you pitch your big party, but it's already sold out.
It's already sold out. Actually, to be honest with you, I have 5 people now on a waiting list in case a table falls through. This is the biggest party of the year, and I'm telling you, it's going to be unbelievable.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You have a waiting list.
I have a waiting list.
Get a bigger room.
I have 95 tables sold, and I have 5 on a waiting list.
Get a bigger room.
Find me one. I'll do it.
We'll see you next time on Poke Nation.